Welcome to the Dance Studio Empire podcast, a mix of business strategies, simple tips for studio growth and success, with a touch of inspiration, motivation, plus raw and honest conversations to ensure you are building your studio empire. I'm your host, Jen Dalton, studio owner for 30 years, dance business coach, and the author of the book, Teaching Dance Beyond the Steps. My business philosophy is creativity is our superpower, and I believe we all have the means and ability to infiltrate this into our studio. Just sometimes we can get too busy, distracted, or overwhelmed to see that. So that is exactly why I am here to help you. So if you are ready to master the art of creating demand, unravel the dance of numbers in your studio, and run your business to its full potential, then you are in the right place. Okay, let's do this. Sit back and relax, and let's get ready to build your dance studio empire. Hey Dance Fam, and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. This one is a biggie. I'm super excited to share with you a big announcement and what 2024 is going to look like moving ahead. But first, I have to check in with you and make sure that you are still in one piece, because I know many of you have had your end of year concerts or performances, but I also know there are a few of you who are still waiting. So this is me sending you all my vibes to hang in there, because you are close. You are so close, so hang in there. Do you agree that it feels like there's never really a time throughout the year now where we get to slow down? In the past, it felt like, the end was really busy, the beginning of our dance year was really busy, but during the middle of the year, we got a chance to really just take a breather. But it just doesn't feel like that anymore for me. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it feels like it just seems busier every year. So my trick for that is to make sure that I plan and schedule as much as I can for January and February in December. And so you can then have a proper break over that Christmas period. Taking some time away from your studio, but still knowing that things are still churning in the background. And I totally get that it's hard to push through. So especially after you've had your concerts and you're wrapping up classes for the year. But trust me, it is worth it to plan out what you want to do moving forward, or to start the new year in December. But then every year following that does become easier, because you simply then tweak what you did the year before. Now, remember, I am offering a free studio audit next week. So if you'd like a hand getting started, I'm going to leave a link in the show notes, and you can send me a DM on Instagram, and I will, or send me a DM on Instagram, and I can forward you the link to book in. And I can just give you a hand getting your studio on track as we head into 2024. But there are limited spaces for that. I'm only doing it over a short period of time. So if you do think that is something that you would like, make sure you jump on and book a spot. Okay, so now on to the episode. And my big news is, drumroll please, after 30 years, I have sold my studio. And today is going to be a real and raw conversation about one of the biggest decisions that I have made to date. Now, most of you are familiar with my dance studio journey from previous episodes. Today, I'm going to dive into why, after an incredible 30-year run, I have decided to sell. So, quick background story. I started teaching when I was 15 years old, after a lady in our community asked if I could teach her daughter some extra dance classes. Then that one girl asked if she could bring 2 friends. That 3 became 12, that 12 became 20 as the years went on, to 80 and so on. Now, during my time, I bought an existing studio and I ran it for a couple of years before selling it to one of my students who was at the end of her dancing career with us. So she was ready to start teaching. She bought that. At our peak, we expanded to 6 locations, which also included buying our own premises. I was managing a team of around 30, and we had about 1,200 students enrolled. And then a couple of years later, I decided to consolidate, reducing both the team and our locations, which worked really well because they were all quite close in proximity. So we didn't lose the numbers, but I was able just to reduce the team and the physical locations. And then we also started to build to build a brand new location we started a brand new studio in a different location, and we built that up from scratch. And this was just to prove that our strategies still worked. And later we sold this location to another one of our teachers who has successfully rebranded and is absolutely killing it now. And so then that brings us to today. And this decision to sell really came from various factors. And I'm going to tell you all about them. Okay, firstly, I believe that I have succeeded in building an incredible legacy. Now, much like a parent guiding their child towards independence, the studio has grown and evolved, and it's now ready to forge ahead with fresh blood and energy. Secondly, a significant factor in this decision is my mum. She has been my right hand throughout this journey, and now she's ready to retire. And after decades of very dedicated service, it's time for her to take some time and focus on what the next chapter will look like for her. Could I replace her? Yes, of course, everyone's replaceable. Do I want to? No, I don't want to do it without her. Thirdly, I recognize a need for an infusion of young, fresh energy. The world's evolving, and as a studio, we need to adapt. So, someone with new perspectives and energy and enthusiasm to carry the legacy forward. It's just time for that fresh pair of eyes and that renewed spirit. Which then follows on to the fourth reason is that I have found the perfect person to take over. So my studio manager, who has been with us for nearly 4 years, with her creativity and enthusiasm, I know that she is the perfect candidate to breathe new life into the legacy. Now, her alignment with the core values of the studio and her innovative approach assures me that the studio is in absolutely capable hands. And the fifth reason is simply I am ready for something new. A new challenge of following a new purpose, and I will tell you a little bit more about that later. So we've just wrapped things up at the concert. It was absolutely by far our best concert. So we finished on a high. The theme was back in time, and so there were songs and it was inspiration from the past 30 years. It was very cleverly put together. Again, credit to my team, particularly my studio manager, who also created this running dialogue throughout, which helped tell my story. It was incredible. Now, I was really worried about not being able to speak or even function at times just by being overwhelmed with emotion. So in the lead up, I would have moments of just being perfectly fine, and then tears would just start welling up whenever I thought about it, or I thought about the concert, or I thought about people approaching me. So how did I prepare and control my emotions for the event? I am just typically a very emotional person. It's just me. I cry in commercials with puppies. I don't know what to say. So what I decided to do is I pre-recorded my speech just because I wanted everyone to hear what I had to say. I wanted them to hear my thoughts and hear my plans and hear how grateful I was to everyone. So I just pre-recorded it. And even that process took about 4 times for me to even record it without crying. But I did, and it turned out really well. And it was taken by the audience really well as well. The next thing I did is I desensitized myself by listening to the songs, particularly our big final dance and the final finale. And I just listened over and over again because I knew just by hearing it, I just desensitized myself, and that worked as well. I did say to everyone backstage, just no one asked me how I am towards the end. And honestly, I was actually good. And to be honest, I don't think anyone really cared. They were very focused in on themselves, which was perfect. And then, I was able to come out. So after they played my speech on the video, I still had to come out and speak anyway. And look, I shed a few tears, but I believe it was appropriately. So I've been told. I cried appropriately, but I was still definitely able to function and compose myself. Now, post-concert, the outpouring of love, it's just been so overwhelming. These most beautiful handwritten cards and heartfelt messages. And I think the thing that really stood out and was highlighted is the values that I had for the studio back when I started 30 years ago are still prevalent to this day. And that just creates a profound sense of connection and community. And families who have been with me for decades, just sharing their gratitude, it was absolutely beautiful. Now, some of the other questions that have come up, I will go through them with you now, is when did I tell my families and why did I time it when I did? So basically, I announced via email. It was a Sunday afternoon and it was about week 5, I think, week 4 or 5 of term 3. At this point, costumes are starting to arrive, hype for the concerts in full swing. I really didn't want this announcement to take away from the concert or the hype, but I felt it was really important for everyone to have that information so it wasn't a shock for them at the concert, because they would then have to process that and they'd miss out on the hype, or the focus would just move from the concert and the kids to that. So I really wanted them to know before then. I then wanted them to have enough time to ask questions and then move on. And I have to say it worked out perfectly. So I'm really happy with how all that worked. Now, the sales process itself, we have sold several businesses before, so we sort of knew what we were doing, although this was definitely our biggest sale. So we already had most of the transition documents and contracts written. So it was just a matter of updating with the details. And honestly, full disclosure, my husband pretty much manages all of this side of it, including the transfer of websites, domains, phone packages. There is so much to do. You don't realize until you actually sit down and have to tick through the list of things you're handing over and changing names, email addresses, and domain names and business names. And yeah, it's a big process, but definitely, it's when you do it a few times, you do get into a bit of a swing of it, but worth it. And yes, I am really happy with how much money I did receive for the business, but I actually did sell in 2 parts. So you may recall me talking about selling one part of our studio last year. So essentially it was 2 sales, but for the one business. Next question is why my daughter didn't take over. Simply because she didn't want to. And in a way, it's actually better for me because I'd never be able to fully step away from it, or my mum for that matter. My daughter will continue teaching there. My daughter and the new owner get on really well. They work very well together. So they are going to have a great year. And then the biggest question asked is what's next for me? Many said retirement. I went, no, not retiring. But you may or may not know, for the past 12 months, I have been running a mastermind for dance studio owners. For those who don't know what our mastermind is, it's a creative collective of studio owners with shared goals where we meet regularly, both one-on-one and as a group, to strategize growth, share insights, and elevate both business and artistic pursuits. It's the ultimate accelerator for dance studio success in a supportive and collaborative environment. And in 2024, the mastermind is evolving. And I'm so excited to share this exclusive announcement with you here. Second drum roll for the episode. Introducing Dance Studio Scaled, which is going to be grander and more impactful than ever before. Because after 30 years, I want to share my extensive experience and expertise to work alongside and support other dance studio owners aiming to expand their empire or scale their studio. So you ask, how and why? Well, because I've literally been through it all. I faced the same challenges that you have. I have celebrated the triumphs, and now it is simply my time to pay it forward. And if you've listened to other episodes, I have said it before, as dance studio owners, going solo is just not the path to success. We need a solid support system. We need encouragement. We need a network of like-minded individuals to help keep us motivated and inspired. Essentially, you need a business bestie. Now, Dance Studio Scaled 2024 Mastermind doesn't actually officially start until March next year. Now, this is also very strategic, which I will go into later, but as a bonus for anyone who thinks they may want to join us, if you want to start right now, you will get 3 free bonus months before the official start and before the first payment comes out. And so that's 3 months of getting ahead. You and me, we will work together before we actually officially start the 12 months from March. Now, there are obviously a lot more details that I will go into, like exactly what you receive and how it works. And I will certainly be filling you in over the coming weeks. But if you would like to know more right now and secure a spot, then I encourage you to send a DM via Instagram and we can get chatting. Because there is only a small limited number of spaces available, because I dedicate considerable time and attention to each of you each week, and I dive really deep into your unique studio situation, because everyone's studio is different. We're at different stages. We have different needs and we have different wants. And so it's like I step into your studio and together you and I work out what the best steps are moving forward for you to achieve your goals. And so with only a set number of hours each week, I just need to ensure that I can give you a commitment of 100%, which is why I keep the group really small. And also over 70% of the current members, so the girls who are currently in it, are actually continuing on and they've already secured their spots for the upcoming year, which is really exciting for me because I think it actually speaks volumes for the results and the experiences that they have had throughout this year. So exciting. But like I said, if you think this may interest you, let's just chat about it. It might not be right for you, and that is totally fine, but we can have that conversation. So there are lots of exciting things coming up. I will obviously continue to keep to bring you along on this journey each week on the podcast, through my socials, through email as well. But if you have any questions, please reach out about anything. And that is my big announcement. And those are my plans moving forward into 2024. And I am feeling really good about that and excited to see what the future has in store. All right, everyone, I'm going to leave it there. Remember, don't go it alone. It's way more fun with others, I promise. All right, Dance Fam, until next week. And that's a wrap for this week's episode. I'm so grateful to have you listen each week. If you found today's episode valuable, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could take a moment to rate, 5 stars of course, and leave a review on your preferred podcast platform. Your feedback empowers me to keep delivering insightful content. To ensure you never miss an episode, hit that subscribe button and be sure to follow me on Instagram @_JenDalton_ and join our private Facebook group, Dance Studio Empire. Until next time, keep dancing, keep thriving, and keep building your dance studio empire.